You guys just moved in, huh?
How do you know?
I live next door to you. What happened there? Some kids from school? I'll help you. But you're a girl. I'm a lot stronger than you think I am.
All right, let me in. Somebody keep telling co-host, put your guard down. Just let me in.
What the fuck?
Is that sexual?
Oh my god! Yes. Where's the HR?
Come on, co-host. Just let me get some Pennzoil.
No. That's all right. I already had my oil change. Don't worry about that.
Look like you need a nice spit shine right now.
How many
No. Hey, you get the hell away from me, all right? Put that thing down. What are you doing?
Are we doing Let Me In? I thought we were just doing an exact duplicate of one of our other reviews.
No, that's what the director did.
The right one in? Yeah.
It is funny because seeing this one, I was like, well, I wonder if it's one of these things where, like the original is so much better. And I popped it in and started watching. I'm like, it's exactly the same.
It is exactly the same. I mean, we can just jump in and tell you what the movie's about. It's based on a Swedish film, actually. That is Sweden, right?
I'm going to say yes.
I believe so.
I can't remember.
Yeah, okay.
I think it is.
I think it's
or maybe Danish.
No, it is. It's Swedish.
It snows a lot.
It's Nordic. How about we say that?
Yeah, it's someplace where it's cold.
Lots.
Yeah. It snows. It's cold, and if people talk like so yeah.
Swedish Chef. Yeah. Swedish Chef is in it actually. He plays a vampire. He's the one who turned the girl to the vampire. At least you know what I can say this about the film. At least they didn't fucking put it in 3D.
No, why would they?
Well, because this is, a lot of people don't know because they haven't seen the original. This is basically an art film. It's art horror.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one of those big crazy stuff jumping out at you type things, which is why it was an odd choice to remake.
Well, I think it's a good enough story to remake and bring over to American audiences. Of course, to do that, money plays a big part in it. They want to kind of cash in on as much as they can on the audiences that go to see it. So they're not going to bring over a subtitled foreign film. And I don't blame them for remaking the film for that reason.
A lot of people just refuse to see a subtitled film on general principle. I don't know if it's dyslexia, which I'm not making fun of. I'm like, you can't read that fast.
No, it's because they're dumb. Don't worry.
And I got, I'm not going to get into it right here because I don't want to go back and forth on the advantages and disadvantages of a subtitled film. But with this movie, I thought it was a good story. And then the Swedish film that it's based on it's about a little girl who moves into this apartment complex kind of close to this lonely little boy who's getting bullied all the time at school. And
this
because
weirdo little kid
who
walks around without a shirt playing with a knife like a serial killer in training.
Not a normal kid.
No, he's a Jeffrey Dahmer. He's just waiting to happen. But anyway, he's getting beat down. This girl, for some reason, who moves in with a mysterious guy who could be her father, her uncle, her grandfather. Nobody knows, but she is keeping to herself too. Circumstances brings them together and they become friends, but you soon discover why this girl doesn't come out. She's a vampire, and she has to have this keeper of hers, this mysterious keeper, go out and get blood for her, which brings all kind of chaos to the town because when he can't get blood for her, which requires him to go out and murder young people, she goes animalistic and just starts murdering people herself. And the remake really doesn't depart too much from that in story, in tone, in direction.
It's the same room with a fresh new coat of paint. That's all it is.
What's funny was when I popped in the Blu-ray to watch it, I was expecting to be subtitled. I was like, great, I'm gonna have to pay attention to read this. And I looked down, wasn't paying attention, and it was listening to it. And it somehow came up dubbed without me even selecting dubbed. So I just watching it with them, just talking in English.
And the funny thing is, they're still talking like, "Heard you do? I'm a vampire."
She's really is a monster. I mean, she's an old school vampire. She's like a nasty ass Eastern European vampire or Nosferatu that does that
he who walks among the living.
She's not like all walking around in her big castle being all sexy going, yes, I don't drink wine. She's gonna fuck your shit up like some crazed animal.
Well, no, in
the original, there's more to it than that.
Well, yeah, no, there's some very subtle things. There's a couple of scenes that they might have taken out of the remake that don't make a real big difference.
Yeah, they don't.
I will say that watching the remake, I thought, walking away from that film, at least when I first saw it, it raised a lot of questions to me, a lot of interesting questions, which, this is based on a book. Number one, and the thing is that
and the book sounds like it's awesome.
The book is I'm halfway through right now. It's incredible. Yeah. And the thing is with this remake is that I thought they took away a lot of the more interesting things that really made you think along, after watching it, like, okay, what did this have? What did this have to do? Things that just made you really want to get more into the story. I thought they completely took all that away from the American version. I don't know.
Well, if they didn't care about this, I mean, because if you remember, they wanted to redo this with teenagers. And then it took some people who came in and said, I think this is a good enough story where we can remake this for American audiences, but you are going to mess this up if you're taking everything away from this movie.
Right.
If you replace it with teenagers.
Are you a vampire? I need blood to live. But how old are you? Really? 12. But I've been 12 for a very long time.
They left everything in there that mattered and made the exact same film to the point where even at the end they were smart enough to leave it open, where the book gives you a lot of information and tells you exactly what things are and doesn't leave it open to any interpretation at the end. Let me go ahead and start out with some of the things I liked about this film. I mean, I thought because the people that they had playing these characters, I'm looking up the kid's name here. It's Cody Smith McPhee. Who the heck? What's up with these people naming their kids?
Something else?
Yeah, he was from The Road.
He was from The Road.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Chloe, what's her name?
Chloe
Moretz. Yeah, who plays the girl Abby, the little vampire girl.
I suspect that partially why this movie got made at all was as a vehicle for her. Because
Really?
they said, we've got this great young actress who's like Dakota Fanning of right now. She's amazing and she can do anything, but what are we going to put her in? Because there's only so many roles you have where you've got the little girl being really your star. And it's like, well, shit, that movie's hot right now. Let's remake this and throw her in it. Because movies do get made that way sometimes.
See, I didn't get that at all either. I thought that they were actually, both those kids were actually good. Richard Jenkins is.
There is no bad Richard Jenkins.
No, that's what I was going to say. Great casting choice with him because, this is one of those performances doesn't require him to say a whole lot, requires him to deliver a whole lot emotionally through a lot of looks, body language, a lot of retained emotions, and I thought that he was perfect here for that. Now, the guy who directed this is Matt Reeves, and it's the guy that directed Cloverfield, and everybody's going to expect something that's really action-packed probably because of hearing that.
I hope not.
Like the David Fincher gambit. Everything you do from now on has to have Brad Pitt.
Exactly.
A twist ending.
And that's why I think people might be disappointed with this movie because you're right. It is slow. It is an art horror film. And maybe American audiences might not want that out of a vampire film from what we've been getting today.
I can tell you that I'm not a huge fan of this movie. I mean, I liked a lot of things about it, but as far as the slow pace, I dug the slow pace for the first half of it. I really did. I like how it was slowly pulling me into it. But once the big reveal came that she was indeed a vampire, what was going on, the fact that it continued to be slow, I was like, guys, come on, it's here now. Stop that. Let's step it up.
Well, let's face it, for a large part, this is My Girl with vampires, and that's what exactly.
Yeah. And I dug that aspect. But the whole let me in, let the right one in. It's all predicated on this whole a vampire can't come in unless you invite him, and she shows okay. If I come in without you inviting me,
it sucks.
It sucks for me. They're like, this really awful thing is going to happen for her. Later, there's a point where she has to come into some place it's what concludes the movie. It's just that's made a big deal of, and it's never touched on again.
The movie is also a play on relationships. I mean, the title of the movie, that is, Let Me In, Let the Right One In, it's just my come on to. It's more like you start out with this kid Owen, the little boy in this, who he's just very lonely, is very withdrawn from everybody,
right?
And this is the person that he lets in. So I mean, so I'm not really hinging everything on that premise of letting a vampire in.
That's a vampire movie than it is in many ways about just a simple relationship between a little boy and a little girl,
which is the strength. It's the strength of the movie.
If you love somebody, doesn't matter what they are.
Right.
But it's still, I still felt like, it really made a big deal about this only to never come back to it. Also, I would say there's just that point after the halfway point that everything that happens is kind of predictable. I mean, if not predictable, I kept expecting more. A part of it being slow is that in being slow, it's running out the clock and not a lot of things are happening. And so it just has a point where I'm like, okay, I'm thinking this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and this, and I'm hoping they do more. And they just didn't.
And it's because you saw the original?
No. I didn't see the original until after.
Oh, okay.
It was just me just seeing this cold, and there's no way you guys are going to bring up how awful the CG is in this.
No, I was going
a couple 2 or 3 points where they use it where it's like, guys, don't, because it reminded me of the CG from the first Spider-Man movie.
No, that's what I was going to say. If there's the only thing for me that makes the original superior to this is the bad CG. And there's one scene where they're in an alley and it's in silhouette. There's no need for CG at all. You know, they want to see, they bring in the CG because they want to show just how animalistic this girl is when she attacks people.
She's super strong. And
and she turns into a spider monkey when she jumps on people and tears them apart. And you see this guy getting attacked in silhouette, and I don't know if it's because it's in silhouette or what, but it looks like stop motion animation almost. It looks like a fucking cartoon.
It looked like that fucking old lady from Legion. That's what it looked like. It looked ridiculous.
The old lady looked better.
The biggest flaw of this film is the whole vampire element to this girl, which they made it. I mean, they pretty much catered to the American sensibility as far as, okay, well, let's do something different. Let's give the American audiences a little bit more of what, you know. Let's make this vampire look like a vicious, rabies-infested vampire, like the 30 Days of Night. Which I'm like, you know what? This is a movie and this is a story that didn't need that at all.
No, you're right.
I think they were like, she's got to be scary. And I was like, okay, I think she is scary. I don't think you need to make her like into some weird almost wolf beast thing.
And it would have been scarier had she not been that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
she didn't need to look like Eddie Munster.
Well, something I don't know about the scariness part, but something I did like in this one over the original was how she walked around barefoot in the snow all the time, constantly with those muddy feet. I mean, that was just something just so odd about her. Whether she had been a vampire or not, it would have gave me a sense of foreboding throughout the movie. And I also liked how they did the flashback or flash forward at the beginning, just jumbling time. I get sick of so many things relying on jumbling time, but this is one time when it really worked.
And they didn't do that in the original, did they? When they opened up, we opened up with Elias Koteas, who's a cop investigating this whole case. Yeah, and I actually liked him and his.
Yeah, he was good. I will say, as far as positive things, I did like how they, as far as introducing this new detective character, I really liked the guy playing him, who all I think of him is as Casey from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I thought his character was really good. I also enjoyed how they changed up at least the way that the murders were arranged, or just their new take on the murders as far as the old man who's helping out the vampire girl. I really enjoyed how they made those scenes real suspenseful and brand new. There's even a special effects scene that's pretty amazing when you watch the film. I won't spoil it, but in the new remake.
What was it? What did it have to do with?
I don't want to explain it because it's probably one of the best effects as far as when you're watching it doesn't seem like an effect, but I'm sure. But I do not want to spoil it. The people who go see this movie will know exactly what I'm talking about. But I liked how they did change that up a bit. But other than that, as far as the main story here concerning the two kids, which were both of those actors were fantastic. It was the same movie, and it's really hard to review this movie only because, like, walking away, I'm like, I can only imagine what it would have been like if I'd only seen this movie first.
As much as it is, I don't think it's a shot-for-shot remake. It is a note-for-note remake. That much is certain, because it is going through every beat of the story with just a few things added here and there.
And the sets look exactly the same.
But the director brings his own sort of feeling to the score and to the atmospherics of it that I had to hand it to him on some level, that he does carry you through that in a way that's not really dull. You're like, wow, this is really beautiful. The cinematography is really gorgeous through a lot of this. I was like, okay, I got to hand you did do as good a job as you could with pretty much the exact same film.
Like I said, there's some things, to me, the movie's a give and take. I mean, like, they took some cool scenes out of this one, which involved, cats, or they had another scene which
there's a bathroom scene which I honestly wish they kind of would have left that in, just because it made you wonder, like, what? There's something more going on with. And
there's also a shot that gives you some ambiguity.
Well, that's what I was talking
about this girl's character. They removed that from this movie and it's in the original, but then again, there's a cool scene in this movie that they do with a car that's flipping over and over again. That's done. Well, I think they have a clip of that. That's why I'm saying that. It's nothing.
Trailer.
Yeah, it's in a trailer. And it's nothing to really hide. I mean, because once you see it, it's like you can describe it, and when you describe it, it like actually makes you want to see it because it's a shot that's done from inside of the car during a car wreck, and you're like, that's an amazing shot. And also, me complaining about the CG. There's one shot in the original movie that looked like shit of her climbing the building, and they did it in CG in this film, and it seemed appropriate. So to me, it's like, look, like I said, I just go and get my rating. I'm not one to complain about remakes if they're done at least well enough for an American audience to see. I think there's two ways of looking at this. If you're a fan of the original, this might be a letdown. For that, I would say like it's still a good film, a matinee film. For anybody who hasn't seen the movie and will see this one first, I think it's good enough to be a full price film. I think the story remains intact. I think everything kind of the main points of this film that makes it what it is in the original remain intact here.
I agree with you 100% on everything you just said. It's if you've never seen the original, I can't, unless you're one of those people who's really bored quickly, then there's no way you're not going to like this. This is still really a lot of fun. It's a decent little film, but if you have already seen it, I mean, maybe even not quite a matinee, a low matinee.
Yeah.
If you've already seen the original, because I mean, it's interesting seeing the little differences there, here and there. And Chloe Moretz and the whoever the kid is who plays the boy kid are both so good in this. They both deserve to be watched just for how they do slightly differently take their roles.
This is more of a, this is more that you can tell the directors loved that film, the original film, more than anything, and that's exactly what they base this movie solely on. But I'm still going to give it a full price only because they did capture the heart of the story, which is the relationship between the kids, and like I said, the performances were phenomenal. I hated the CG, but other than that, it's still a full price movie for me.
Well, I'm speaking as somebody who saw the original after. To me, this was my first introduction to it. And the film is very much a mixed bag. There's things I absolutely love about it, especially the acting. I like how much of the original it captures, at least that feel of it. And it's like, wow, this is something I've never seen before. I love the slow pace because there's still plenty going on, and I liked how it was drawing me into it. But on my list of things I don't like that it continued to be slow. There's just so many things that happened toward the end that were just, I found anticlimactic. And something I didn't bring up before, but I hate the bullies in this movie.
Well, you're supposed to.
But no, I didn't hate him like, that bully, I hate him.
He got it coming.
As actors.
Yeah. Just it reminded me of the bullies in A History of Violence, where it's just so in the kid's face. Come on, you bitch! And I was like, that's kind of much. Like that's so much that there would have to be some authority figure who'd be like, hey, I see what's going on over here.
Wow,
knock it off.
I agree with
There's a lot of undue hatred.
Like,
but
for
here,
Americans, we've got to amp all that shit up.
well, but like in the American version, the kid, he's not really weird. He's just quiet.
He's still kind of weird. He's weird.
No. He's weird when he's on his own.
Yeah.
When he's on his own, he's weird. When he's at school, he's just a quiet kid.
Sure.
And those bullies, they amped it up so much to where I'm like, you're losing me here.
He's kind of like Cyrus weird. Yeah.
So
I'm not quiet.
It's like the movie ultimately comes down to being a matinee.
You know what? And I felt like you when I saw the original at first.
Oh,
and
really?
I wonder if you really think about the movie for a while, because I don't know when you saw it, the last time you saw it, but for a few days the movie haunted me. I mean,
no, I can see that
because it's nothing about this is cute or adorable. I don't even think the relationship between these two characters. I think that's the most horrifying thing about
when
it.
you put it all in perspective about what happens after this movie,
It's
and what
scary.
in relation to what we've already seen, you're like, wow, this is the beginning of the continued adventures of a bloodbath.
It's something very sinister, and I feel very scared for this little boy after this movie's done.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing where I wished he was older, so his brain could process the fact that, like, he could look at Richard Jenkins' character, do the math, and go, oh shit. I think we need to break up.
It's my life.
Yeah. Look, it's not you, it's me.
Oh, yeah.
But things aren't working out.
And I think
we should see other people.
Did she really need? And thinking how she could lure people in just by being a little girl, that's kind of always been a flaw of that story for me.
Well,
that she needed an adult.
What's the point of being like all badass and a vampire if you can't afford a slave?
That's true. I just felt like you could have put her like in a Girl Scout costume and just had her sell cookies.
You're obsessed with that idea.
And just, I mean,
now you're heading into creepy territory.
She can go door to door and sell and not have to worry about anybody getting anybody's. People be like, yeah, I'll take the thing. Wait, why are you selling cookies at night? Like,
Do you think there's such a thing as evil?